Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're going to be taking a look at crit Vayne in a not crit, but in a Vayne supplementary guide. So we're going to be taking a look at the crit build on Vayne. Now, if you guys take a look, currently the top builds are on hit builds, and except the third guy is actually going for some kind of hybrid build, but the top builds are actually on hit builds, and this is basically after Bloodthirster got nerfed a couple of times. And I think with these nerfs, I think it's kind of not as worth to build crit on Vayne already, because on hit gives you a lot of benefits as well. But we'll discuss more about crit versus on hit in the gameplay itself. Right, but how do you build crit? Well, the first thing you want to do is to start off with the Berserker's Greaves, which is going to give you attack speed, as well as a little bit of AD. Of course, not as much as the Gluttonous Greaves. Now, why are we building attack speed boots? Of course, we all know Vayne loves attack speed to proc her W Silverbolt's passive, but it's because your first item, Bloodthirster, doesn't give you enough attack speed. You only get 15% attack speed from the Bloodthirster, so if you don't build attack speed boots, you're gonna need to wait until your next couple of items to really give you a lot of attack speed, and you don't want to be in that situation, right? So you want to build Bloodthirster first. Attack speed boots first for the attack speed, and then Bloodthirster for just raw AD, the defensive capabilities, the shield, the physical vamp, the extra defenses when you proc it. And then you're going to go into Blaster. Now, Blaster gives you a couple of benefits, right? Firstly, you get that long range auto. Secondly, you get the static shift passive. Now, that passive is especially useful for clearing wave, because Vayne has trash wave clear, and that helps you clear the wave a lot faster. Of course, you also get a little bit of AD and a little bit of attack speed. And next up, you're going to go for Phantom Dancer. And I think Vayne might be the only Phantom Dancer user in the game, pretty much, right? But Phantom Dancer, once again, gives you a little bit of AD, but it gives you 40% attack speed. And on top of that, when you proc it, you're going to gain an extra 25% attack speed and 7% movement speed. So there's a total of 65% attack speed on one item. So for 3 seconds when you hit a champion, and when you crit, the duration of this bonus 25% attack speed extends by a second, right? So, and then it goes on a cooldown eventually, and then of course you have to kind of get it off cooldown again, where when you attack it reduces the cooldown. So overall, just ties very well into Vayne's kit of just wanting to auto attack a lot, right? And then since you're already gone for 3 crit items, you gotta go for a 4th one. Now, Vayne does not benefit from more reminder, because of course she does true damage, so armor penetration doesn't matter very much. Instead, IE is probably going to be your best option here, just to get extra crit damage and put yourself at 100% crit. Now, when you've completed this 100% crit, you go for a defensive item. So it could be something like Twin Guard, it could be even like a Wit's End or a Triforce if you want something a little bit more aggressive. Could be a Maw, GA, a lot of options here. And for the runes, standard ADC loadout. And for the spells, you want to go for Flash. Now, Ghost is amazing on Vayne if you can take it. Helps her a lot when she's running people down with her ulti, or just to kite in and out of fights in general. However, if you need it, of course, Cleanse is going to be the way to go if there's a ton of CC. But with all that out the way, now let's take a look at our gameplay. Okay guys, so let's take a look at the gameplay itself. Right, so the first things first, of course, is when you want to play Vayne, right? So firstly, Vayne you only really want to play against a team that's very tanky, because as I mentioned in a lot of my Vayne videos, there's a lot of champions that deal with tanks, or like deal with tanky teams better than Vayne, right? So the top one I think about is champions like Sivir or Ashe, deal with tanks very well instead of having to play Vayne. Varus is still really good against tanks. And Vayne just really is an inferior version a lot of times to a lot of them. So you might be asking, why do I play Vayne then? Well, basically because I think Vayne is a really fun champion to play, right? It's one of my, I wouldn't say one of my favorite ADCs to play, but I do enjoy, playing Vayne quite a bit, right? So I like playing Vayne, and sometimes from time to time I just want to get in a Vayne game, and it's why I don't play Vayne very often, but I still do every once in a while. Alright, so here we're up against a Tristana and a Braum. So this is a very unique situation, because generally Vayne is quite horrible in lane. However, in this unique situation against a Braum and a Tristana, Tristana has lower range than Vayne in the early levels, right? And Braum has basically zero range, aside from being able to poke you with the Q like he just did here. So we're actually going to be able to tumble forward and aggressively take autos and kind of just chip away at their health bars. And if Braum, a lot of Braum players make the mistake of just free tanking damage for no reason, tanking for nobody. However, here we're getting kind of traded on, and we actually take a lot of damage. Tristana takes a lot of damage as well because of the minions, but a lot of Braums like to block nothing, right? Which means that they step up, they put up their shield, and they're blocking damage for no good reason, right? So just standing there with the shield thinking they're tanky, which is not wrong, but sometimes they just tank for nothing, right? Like, what's the point of taking damage if you could just walk away, right? So in that sense, sometimes you can easily just attack Braum, stack up your lethal tempo for free, maybe go for an all-in. So this is a very rare Vayne laning phase. It's not going to be horrible because we're not against like a Caitlyn or a Ashe or any kind of bad lane matchup. We're actually in a pretty good lane matchup. And here you can see we're already chipping away at the Braum. Braum's already at half health. And even though he does have a shield, remember that Vayne does true damage. If you get three auto attacks onto him, he's still going to take the same amount of damage whether he has a shield or not. Right? Which is kind of why Vayne counters anybody who's tanky or anybody who kind of reduces or blocks damage like Rammus or Braum. Right? So here in this game, the enemy team is not the tankiest, right? Of course we have Braum, who's really a tank. Then you have Xin Zhao, who is a tanky fighter. And here you're about to see something that you might want to close your eyes on, because here Tristana is really low. I'm thinking I can ghost forward, roll, and get a kill, but instead she ends up baiting me in, and I end up just getting executed by Xin Zhao, so that was kind of embarrassing. But yeah, hey, you know, it happens to everyone, right? So anyways, back to the point, right? So here, the Malphite could be building tank or AP, right? Of course, in the loading screen, I wouldn't know. So if I assume Malphite was building tank, there will be two tanks and then one Xin Zhao who's pretty tanky. I mean, you could argue Rumble is arguably tanky-ish as well, although I would think that he's relatively squishy. But yeah, so overall, a decently tanky team, perhaps, but not the tankiest of teams. So that's going to transition into my next point, which is building crit versus on hit. So in this game, I quickly realized Malphite is building AP. Right, and then so the only tanks I have to deal with really is Braum is the main one, Xin Zhao is the secondary target, and then Bramble is the next most tanky target, right, which is not really tanky at all. Right, so that's why I chose to go for the crit build instead of the on-hit build, because the on-hit build really works very, very well into tanks, which should be, if you're playing Vayne, you should be playing them into like 2-3 tanks at the minimum, right? So on-hit should generally always be the default. But in this case, I kind of end up playing her into like only really one tank and a couple of fighters, right? So they're not really the tankiest lot in the world, alright? So as a result, I'm going to go for the crit build because I think the crit build does more damage against squishies. You also get the added benefit of having the shield from Bloodthirster and having the extra level of safety that you don't really have with the on-hit build. So you do have quite a number of benefits to going for the crit build here over the on-hit build, as we have taken on a death starting 0, 2, and 0. Yeah, Vayne games don't always go well. She does not a lot of damage in lane whatsoever. But, you know, she always scales very well into late game. So here, once again, we get a bit of free damage on Braum. We're not going to go for the rundown, because I really don't think we can run them down. But we do get a bit of free damage, and then we are able to actually interrupt their resets, which means that even though they did kill us just now, they were not able to spend the gold. Right? If you take a look at the inventory right now, I actually have an item advantage over the Tristana, who has like a 500 gold lead on me, and that's because she's not actually able to recall. So here, once again, I'm just whacking the Braum, just getting free damage onto him. He puts up the shield. I'm just attacking the Tristana now, trying to promptly 3-hit passive. Bring our minions, so we can't really do that anymore. But here again, trading very, very aggressively. The ult goes in from Nami, catches out the Tristana, but it's really hard to kill Tristana when there's a Braum there. We do force Braum to flash away though, of course, because we were hitting him and he was really, really low. Like a proc more of the silver boats might have done it. So he very wisely flashes away. Xin Zhao now coming over, gets cancelled, not cancelled, but gets stunned by Nami. Tristana now jumps in. I'm in a little bit of trouble here. I somehow survive by flashing away. Red buff burns, which is kind of why I turned back, right? Because I was thinking that if I was going to die here, I want to get off as much damage as I can, and then I realized that, wait a minute, I might not die, so I end up walking away and surviving by the skin of my teeth. So you can see that playing Vayne, even into a decent comp, is not very enjoyable for the most part in the early game, because unless you get quite a number of kills in the early game and you get accelerated, normally the early game is quite painful to play because you don't really have a lot of damage yet, because you don't really have items yet, and you're going to take quite some time to scale. That's one of the reasons why Vayne is not very good at, in the current meta as well, just because her early game is not very good, so she's going to take very long to get items, and by the time she gets the items, the game is normally kind of decided already, and you have quite a bit of say in it. So here, Vi is able to actually go in and steal the dragon somehow. Now Tristana jumps over, and we're trying to get the punish onto Tristana. We condemn her into the wall, but she's able to cancel it with her W, which I didn't even know you could cancel the condemn with the W, but Here we end up getting 3-man Malphite ulted, getting roasted alive by Rumble, and our team is just losing the fight in general. Nami, not Nami, I mean, I guess Nami and Annie are both in trouble. And Nami running for her life, survives on 1 HP. Yasuo, not the most useful at the moment, going for some kind of tank build, I guess, going for Merc Treads into Wits End. To be fair, there is 2 big AP threats on the enemy team, but he's definitely not doing well. He has been feeding the Rumble a couple of kills, and speaking of feeding, I'm 0-3-0, so I'm 1 to top. Here and now in the mid lane trying to get some farm. Yasuo fighting us for the farm. And now we're going to head back to the bot lane to try to stop them from taking our tower. And for the second time this game, Vi basically goes into the lane and basically just takes all of the minions as if we didn't need the farm. Here, Yasuo now winning the bush. Now, the note is that the Herald is actually up. So in the meantime, while my whole team is on the wrong side of the map, Herald is getting done, right? However, as a result, we now have 4 people who are going to be able to take down the enemy bot laners. Now, somehow, Yasuo doesn't actually ult on the 2-man knockup there, so as a result, only Braum dies, when I think Tristana should have died as well if Yasuo ulted the Tristana and held her in place, but we basically trade the Herald for only 1 kill, which is not very good. However, the enemy makes a very aggressive Herald play, and now Malphite and Xin Zhao are trying to run away. Xin Zhao runs the wrong direction and finds himself in trouble. I'm going to pop the ult for the movement speed, run him down. Yasuo unfortunately picks up the kill. Now we're going to chase the Malphite, who is now on the run. With the ult, I'm going to pop the ghost as well, just full committing onto this fight. Malphite just taking free hits from me, tries to hide in the bush. I'm going to have to ward the bush and then finish off the kill onto him. Rumble now has nowhere to go, gets CC'd by the Vi, and Rumble goes down as well. And overall, if you want to look at the grand scheme of things, our team did get 3 kills overall in trade for that Herald, or actually 4 kills overall, because we killed Malphite, Rumble, Xin Zhao, and Braum in the grand scheme of things. So it's technically not a very bad trade if you take a look at the grand scheme of things. Now here, I see the 2 people recalling. I'm trying to walk and sneak over. I managed to stop the Malphite, condemn him into the wall, into the Nami CC. He's now running away. Now unfortunately here, I'm running him down. He's really tanky, but of course I'm Vayne, I do true damage, and I'm almost got him, and his whole team just shows up. And at that point, I commit to trying to kill him, but I don't have the damage to do so, and my team also dies, my team being Yasuo. Yasuo also dies, I die. Nami's now getting run down by by Tristana. Tristana runs into a bear, and Annie is able to peel for the Nami, and Nami is able to escape at relatively low HP. In the meanwhile, Annie comes in with another stun. Vi is now in trouble as well. Everybody on my team is running away, as they should. And I'm now making my way back to the fight. This looks like it's kind of going to be a fight because literally everybody's in the area. So I'm expecting it to kick off at any moment now. Of course, I don't want to be the one to re-engage the fight, but I'm thinking somebody's going to do it. Yasuo now taking the Hex Gate over here. So all 5 people on my team are here. And I'm expecting something to happen, but in the end, kind of nothing really happens. It basically is quite funny. Basically, we push out the wave, enemy team pushes in the wave, and nothing really happens. Now everyone in the game has their ults back up already, so another fight would be a pretty interesting fight with everyone having all of their tools. Now Dragon is going to be spawning, so is Baron, and I'm definitely thinking a fight is going to break out over one of these objectives. Now Rumble here tries to flash over, but gets caught out by me, ends up going down. Now I pop the ulti. I'm thinking this looks like a pretty good fight. Braum tries to disengage the fight with the ulti, to no avail. Malphite ult misses me, and we're able to get enough damage for him to die. And now I'm in the backline somehow, just free hitting onto whoever else is around, and only the bot lane is left alive. I'm trying to chase Tristana, she jumps away, and Braum is actually behind me. Nami gives me the speed up. I'm trying to run the Braum down. It's kind of deja vu, it's at the exact same spot. We're trying to run the Braum down, but this time we're going to be able to actually catch him and pick up the kill without his team coming over to execute us. Now the dragon is up, however minions are here as well, so I'm just going to be farming the minions. Vi is dead, and I think flipping dragon is very dangerous. So now with Vi alive, she's making her way back to the dragon. It's going to be another fight most likely happening here. Tristana E expended. We get rid of the wards, they get rid of our control ward. Getting a little bit messy here. Now here we're focusing the dragon, but The red carpet comes down from Rumble. My team secures the dragon. I pop the ulti. I'm just running people down. Again, I'm completely unfocused here. Free hitting onto the Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao goes down. Free hitting onto Malphite. Malphite goes down. And you can see that despite the fact that I'm behind, Vayne does true damage, right? Which means that even though you're behind, you're going to be doing the same amount of damage regardless of how ahead or behind you are, right? It's one of the reasons why on hit is so good, because you're going to get a lot of attack speed, and you're going to be able to just do the same amount of damage with the silver bolts all the time. But where the crit shines, of course, is in all those auto attacks in between proccing the silver bolts. Your autos are going to be doing more damage just because of the crit component of your auto attacks. Right, so off of those like kills and objectives, we actually get a lot of gold. We're able to complete our entire blaster and get most of the components for Phantom Dancer. Now with this huge wave in the top lane, I actually now have enough gold to complete the Phantom Dancer in addition to the magnetic blaster that we've already picked up. So here I'm just farming the blue buff just so that my whole team gets the blue buff, like so, and then I'm gonna go for a quick reset, finish off the Phantom Dancer, and then redeploy back out onto the map. So now at this point, I'm looking for some safety, right? Because IE is just going to be another big boost in damage, but what I'm looking for is something like a Stasis or a QSS, which is going to help me stay safe since I'm now relatively fat, going from 0, 3, and 0 to now 7, 4, and 5, having the most amount of gold in the game. Now my team is basically having it covered, but we get the kill onto the Braum. We're looking for the Rumble as well. Condemn him into the wall, get the double kill here, and we're going to get the tower as well. And after which we can actually go for the Baron. Nothing much can be done there to the Xin Zhao, so we're just going to go ahead and just focus the Baron. I don't even think Xin Zhao or Malphite are coming to contest, and he's actually over the wall to prevent anybody from trying to steal the Baron. Now, I know the Baron's done, so I'm not going to waste time with it. I'm going to go straight over towards the minions here and just start clearing these minions. A lot of extra free gold for myself, and once again putting me in the very, very firm position of having the most gold in the game. Now, I pick up Stasis as I mentioned, and now I can start going into more AD. I have attack speed boots, I have double attack speed items, and now just going for more raw AD is going to be a bit more beneficial, so that my attacks hit harder and not faster. I'm back into the mid lane. And here, unfortunately, Yasuo's just getting completely caught out. However, Xin Zhao did use ult, and now they're stuck in a really weird position. Malphite gets a nice 2-man ult. We get rid of the Malphite, shieldable procs, we're getting stunned, and we're going to have to pop the Stasis just to remain safe. We somehow managed to tumble to the wall and flash over, escaping with our lives. Tristana gets caught in the bubble and is going to go down, unfortunately. And only Rumble and Braum are left alive. I actually think that if we were really bold, we could have actually turned around and chased after the Braum. And the only issue is that I'm not positive where Rumble is. So you could be behind the Braum and come and help him if we continue on further, which is why I decided to play it safe and just go for a reset instead. Now, on the way out, we're just clearing out the chickens. Now, we're going to try to push in, of course, as the Baron minions fall off. Now, I see a tier 2 tower here. I'm trying to get myself there as quickly as I can. Now, Malphite's there to defend. He somehow just flashes away. I don't know if you need to be that scared of me when you're under tower, but he flashes away in fear, and we take the tower without any issue. Xin Zhao now getting caught out by Nami, just getting chain CC'd and just dies. And we end up using a lot of our tools here onto killing the Xin Zhao, right? It was like 2 ults and my condemn as well, right? So here I'm not sure what I'm doing. I don't know why I rolled into the entire enemy team here, which is obviously a very stupid thing to do. But here I end up going down due to my own stupidity, and my shield bow comes up right the second that I die, which is a little bit unfortunate. Vayne now trying to get something done, pops the gargoyles, is actually able to kill Tristana right before she dies with a dying breath. And my team ends up getting aced, and that was a little bit of a throw if I do say so myself. Definitely shouldn't have gone that aggressive. And yeah, I mean, honestly, just rolling into the enemy team was like kind of what was I thinking there. But yeah, so as a result, the enemy team is going to be able to go take the dragon, which denies us the Mountain Soul. Although I would say Mountain Soul is not very important, so I don't quite care about Mountain Soul. Just checking on their progress. They're going to be able to do the dragon before we actually get there. Nami's going to go over and try to steal with the ulti, but doesn't quite get it. Very close though. I'm now just going to clear out the last of these minion waves, and this is going to give me enough gold to pick up the IE. And this, of course, puts us to 100% crit. So here I'm thinking for the last item, I could go for maybe either a Wit's End or a Maul, because honestly, Rumble and Malphite are two of the biggest threats. Of course, Tristana is kind of a problem as well, but she hasn't generally been focusing me for the most part. So I think the two AP threats are very, very dangerous to me. So here, Baron is up. We're just going to start out the Baron. Of course, we are the stronger team. I think we're the stronger team, because actually we're even in gold, but I do think we are the stronger team. So here, Xin Zhao goes in, pushes us all out of the Rumble, which is very, very awkward for the enemy team. Now we have the ult on, we're going in, just free firing onto anybody who's nearby. We're going to focus Tristana, Tristana goes down. Now we're focusing Braum into the wall. Now we're going to go for Malphite, Malphite dies, just focusing Braum more, and we end up just killing everybody. And with the entire enemy team ace, we don't actually need the Baron. We are just able to go over, walk down mid lane, and end the game. So of course I will be doing a updated complete guide with the on-hit variant of Vayne, which I think is her best build, coming up soon. But for today, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.
Victory!